Hello and welcome to day 7 of Wave Week. I can't believe we finally made it here. This has been so much fun and I have something very special in store for you today. Today I'm working on a restored canvas. Basically it's a canvas that I poured on and it dried partially and slid off the side, and I sanded it and had to reuse it, and it had some texture to it. So I thought that this was the perfect opportunity to use some texture paste to add some texture to my waves. So here I am using 2 different types of texture by Golden. I am using coarse pumice gel along with light molding paste. What I'm doing here is I'm using the molding paste to create some lines and some not fluid, but sweeping textures. And then I'm going to come in with the pumice and I'm going to mix it in with the modeling paste, and I'm going to add texture to where the splash of the wave is going to be at the end. I had to have a lot of forethought to this painting. It's not just like dumping paint on a canvas and seeing what happens, which is sometimes part of the fun of acrylic pour painting. This time I have a very specific vision in mind that I'm going for. I want to do another crashing wave, but this time it's going to encompass the entire part of the canvas. There's not going to be any negative space, and I'm going to add some texture in to give the splash of the wave a little bit more interest. After applying the texture to the canvas, I let it dry for about 24 hours before doing anything else. And then I applied Olga Soby's new pouring mixture to this canvas to see if I could achieve the results that I was going for. So I've got some group 1 and group 2 paints. If you've taken the course, you will understand what that means. I am an affiliate for Olga Soby. I have a link in my description. If you want to take the course, I highly recommend it. It's really good. I have learned so much, and I feel like I have so much purpose and I could be more intentional about my pouring after taking this course. And I also love that her pouring medium is readily available more than American Floetrol is around the world, and that is archival. So if you want to take her class, I do have a link in my description, and you can get 10% off by using promo code Becca. Anyhow, here I am applying some of the paint very strategically on different areas of the canvas. I am using Soby Mixture number 2 for the darker parts. Actually, for all of the base colors, I'm going to be using 2, and then my white is Soby Mixture number 1. This is the beautiful color Prussian Blue by Amsterdam. I am also an affiliate of Amazon, and you can click on any of the links in my description to purchase the products that I'm using today. I do get a small commission, but it does not cost you anything extra, and it is super helpful. So if you would like to buy any of the supplies that you see here, go ahead and check out the description. On top of Prussian Blue, I am adding Phthalo Blue. I have to remember that when I add the Phthalo Blue, it always looks brighter than it dries, but this will dry to a very beautiful combination of blue-green for the Prussian Blue and a dark blue for the Phthalo Blue. Next, I'm adding blue-green, also by Amsterdam, and then on top of that, I'll be adding manganese blue phthalo. This is a new color for me, and I really like it. It's kind of more like a cobalt blue. It's very bright, and it's very beautiful. I love it when it mixes with the white. I'm not exactly sure why my camera has a hard time picking up blues. I can see here that it looks much more dull than it actually is. It is more like a bright turquoise blue. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get these blues to look right. And then of course, on top of that, I'm going to be adding Amsterdam Sky Blue Light. You know I love this color. I think it works great in waves, and I think I've added it to every single wave I've done this week. Then I'm going to pick up the canvas and just move it around slightly to make sure that the paints are leveled. Since I added this paint and that paint here and there one at a time, the paints, they may have more paint in some areas and less paint in other areas. And one thing about this mixture, this new mixture that I'm using as opposed to the Floetrol, is it doesn't self-level quite as well. So you have to do a little bit more work up front to get the paints leveled, or else, well, I'm not sure what else will happen. I guess you'll end up with too much paint in one area, maybe not another. I don't know if it can lead to cracking. I haven't had any problems with it, but I just know that it doesn't level quite as well as the Floetrol does. So there's that. One thing you'll notice different about this painting than the other ones that I've done is I have not completely flooded the entire canvas with paint before I start blowing. All the paints that are on the canvas now are from group 2. They're my base paints, and I have strategically placed them on the canvas so that I'll have lighter areas in some places and darker areas in other places. And then I'm going to add white from group 1 to create bubbles where I want them to be, or cells. I call them bubbles just because these are waves, and waves go in bubbles, but you know, they're cells. I have had a couple of questions about that. So that is going to be like the part on the left there where it's lighter is going to be where the wave is crashing. And then the part on the right is going to be the darker because it's the underneath part of the wave, if that makes sense. You'll see. Here I'm adding white from group 1, and I know that this is going to react with the group 2 paints and it's going to create bubbles in those areas. So I am creating the crest of the wave. I'm hoping for just a little bit of bubbles down at the bottom because I do think that the ocean often has foam and bubbles in various places. But you'll see that I will go back and add a lot more to the top where the wave is cresting, and you get that foam that's coming off the top of the wave. Just look at those cells forming at the top of the wave. Isn't that so pretty? And then we've got the dark part that is flowing into the lighter part where the wave is rushing up and crashing, and I am so excited about how this is turning out. So I'm just going to be blowing again and again, trying to get the right shape of the wave. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add a little bit more of the darker paint to the bottom because it's a little bit lighter than I want it to end up. I'll just be working it here and there, doing some touches, adding some, blowing some off. You'll see me doing that. And then after it dries, we're going to come back and we're going to touch it up with an artist sponge to add to the texture. Also, because this new pouring mixture holds finger swipes so well, and we all know that I love the finger swipe, I am adding some drops of paint here and there. That's not true, I'm not adding them here and there. I'm adding them specifically in a line, and then I'm dragging my finger through to add some contour, to add some darks and some lights to the wave in specific areas so that I can draw the eye into the crest of the wave. Okay, now I'm going to show you when the painting is almost dry. You can see the bits of texture coming through, and that is going to be where I'm adding that sea spray with the sponge. It is really cool the way that it showed up through the paint and the way that the paint is drying around it. I think it'll catch the shadows and add just a little bit more depth to the painting. And here I'm just using a little bit of titanium white on the sponge. I applied it to the sponge and then I dabbed it on the paper beside me first to make sure that I didn't have it too thick and too wet. And then I'm just dabbing it on, catching some of the texture and adding in that sea spray off the wave. I think it's pretty cool. I like the way it looks. And then for a little bit more definition, I'm coming in with a different sponge and adding in some darker areas of Prussian Blue. Now for the final touches, I'm coming in and adding in some white highlights to the higher areas of that molding paste that I added at the very beginning. If you've enjoyed this video and you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. And if you would like this video, hit the notification bell and share with your friends, it would be much appreciated. So here she is. Here is the finished painting in all its glory. I love the combination of textures, the flow of the paint with the sponge of the paint. I love the darks and the lights. I'm so happy with how this one turned out. I'll see you for the next one.